Welcome back again. In today's video, we're going to go over common Linux privilege escalation. So this room is about teaching you the privilege escalation methods and ways. So basically, in this video, we're going to cover two methods, and in the last video, we're going to cover the rest of the methods. So basically, as you can see here, we're going to demonstrate the abusing of SUID bit files and the exploitation of misconfigured permissions in files. Of course, there are many ways to do privilege escalation in Linux. Among them, as you can see, the SUID bit files, the misconfiguration of the permissions, the cron tab, the path variable. In this video, we're going to explain two, and in the second part, we're going to explain the rest of the tasks. So, deploy the machine and connect to it. So we're going to connect to the target with SSH directly. SSH, the username is user3 at password is password. And we are connected. So let's demonstrate what we can do or how we can conduct privilege escalation. The first method, okay, we can conduct, we can let the script do the work for us. So one of the scripts used in privilege escalation in Linux is LinEnum. So LinEnum, you can download this from here. So basically, let's download the script to our local machine. We're going to use that. New tab. So it's in my local machine now. Let's download a copy of LinEnum to the target machine, to the target host. So pwd here. Let's see where we are. Home user. All right, let's download it here. I see we can't connect. Let's retrieve this from my local machine then. And here, say wget. Don't forget the 8000 and the script. The name here is LinEnum. So ls, now give it permission to run. Fine. Now we can run LinEnum, okay, and go through the results. So it is vastly important if you want to use a script like LinuxEnum is to understand the output of it. So basically, let's go through some of what has been done, what has been found. Let's go up. Oh, too much. Process binaries and associated permissions. let's get down. So as you can see, we have key information about the version of MySQL, the version of the sudo, the Apache. These information can aid in finding an exploit if one of these versions or all of these versions are vulnerable to some exploit. We can find this by Googling the version or use search exploit. Let's go down, Apache user info, and install Apache modules. This is also enumeration. Useful file locations. And installed compilers. Can we read write sensitive files? As you can see here, it looks in the sensitive files in Linux system. As you can see, password, group, profile, shadow are sensitive files, right? So here the results indicate that we can write on the password file, as you can see here. So the password file is vulnerable. We can manipulate it. There is a misconfigured permission on that password file so that regular user can, write on the file if they are in the root group. And I guess the current user is part of the root group. So here the SUID bit files, we can look through the SUID bit files as well. All of these files are run as root. So if you run them, they run as root. As you can see, there is an interesting file here, user3 shell. Possibly interesting SUID files, script shell. SGID files, post capability sets, NFS config details. Let's go down. No. So here there is a part called the kernel info. Current users history files. Bash history is good if the user has typed sensitive details like passwords as a plain text in the command line. You would find them in the bash history. Interesting fuzzy environment. No. So as you can see, there are parts omitted as you can from up there. We can't retrieve them, but also very interesting thing to say that I'm looking for the kernel part, but I haven't found it. The kernel version displays the kernel version of the box, and it suggests if there is a vulnerability out there, if there is an exploit out there for the version. Okay, so that's the output of LinuxEnum. From the output, we can see that we can try with the SUID bit files. Interestingly, we can try with shell or script, and we can try overwriting the password file. So these are the two methods we're gonna conduct in this video. Now, this is the suggester of the tool. You can use that, or you can find yourself about that manually. So let's see the questions here. What is the target host name? Let's find out the target host name. So basically here, let's type ID, who am I, user3, and we are part of user3 group. The host name is Box. Look at the output of etc password. How many users are there on the system? So we can cat etc password. As you can see, we can count how many users are there. So let's see here. So we have 1, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 users. How many available shells are there on the system? So to see how many shells, we can see cat etc shells. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the name of the script, of the bash script that is set to run every 5 minutes by Cron? Why are they asking you this? Basically, one of the privilege escalation methods is to see what are the cron jobs. See if we can, so that we see if we can manipulate them or modify on them. So we can see cat etc cron tab. So here we have autoscript.sh. This is the script that is running as a cron job. Autoscript.sh. What critical file has had its permissions changed to allow some users to write to it? So from the LinEnum, okay, we found that the etc password, the password file has its permissions changed to allow someone to overwrite to it. So the password file, as you can see, we can write on this file. So this is the enumeration. Now to the exploitation. The explanation of SUID bit files, we have done that many times in the videos. Let's answer the questions straight away. What is the path of the file in user's 3 directory that stands out to you? So basically, from the Linux Enum, if we go up, so see here in the user directory 3, we have an interesting file called shell, although the Linux Enum is saying a more interesting one is in the user 5. But here we are user 3, so we should look in user 3 directory. The file name is shell. How do you find that manually, by the way? That there is really an interesting file in user 3 directory that has the SUID bit permission set. So using the find command, --perm equal u, --perm -u equal s, here I have a mistake in my command. No. So we get the same output, right? All the files, binaries that have the SUID bit set, and in user 3, the binary is shell. So home user 3 shell. No, home user 3 shell. Oh, we have E here. So we know that shell is SUID bit file, therefore running it will run the script as a root user. Let's run it. Okay, so this concludes the first method of escalating the privileges in Linux, finding the files, binaries that have the SUID bit set and running them. Okay, so this file had the SUID bit set, so we can run it to get the root privilege. ID, and this is root. That's the first method. So let's skip that, or this is done. Let's go now to the next method, which is overwriting misconfigured file. Now, etc password could be one of the files that you can overwrite or modify, but sometimes there are more critical files or scripts that you can modify on. Most importantly is understand the concept, looking for files, binaries, tools that you can modify or you have permissions to modify, to write on them. So, having read the information about what direction privilege escalation is this attack? What is that? Are we required to do something here? Let's see. Continuing with the enumeration, we found user 7 is a member of the root group with GID 0, as we already know from the Linux Enum scan. Okay, so here she's suggesting to use the user 7 for the scenario. So here, if we get back to the LinexEnum, let's see here. Or let me run this tool again. So user 3. Okay, now ls. So in this task, as you can see, we're required to connect to user 7, okay, and perform the second method of privilege escalation. Why we're doing this? Okay, let me tell you why. Cat etc passwd. So they're suggesting user 7 here, which is here. Okay. So user 7, as you can see, the group part, okay, is 0, which means that user 7 is part of the root group. On the other hand, user 3, which we are right now, okay, is not part of the root group. It is part of the user 3 group, which means they cannot edit the password file, even though the password file is editable, okay, but it is not editable by user 3. So you have to find a user among these users, okay, who is part of the root group in order to be able to edit the password file. And as you can see, the user 7 has the group or is member of the root group, which is something wrong to put or to configure in a regular user. It's very wrong to configure a user in your system to be part of the root group, or to make the critical files or sensitive files modified by groups other than the the root group. So basically, let's assume user 7 password is password. Fine. So we are now user 7. Let's go to ls -la etc grep passwd. So now we know what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a new user to the end of the password file that has ID of root and root group. So before doing that, we need to generate a password hash for the new user. So we do that with OpenSSL. Open SSL passwd -1 -salt. Here you type the user. Let's say the user could be root 2. And the password. The password, let it be 0321. And this is the hash. So how do we add this to the password file? We're going to have to edit the password file. Nano etc passwd. We go to the end of the line and we type the following: root 2. Okay. And then we put semicolon, and we paste the hash. And after the hash, we have to type the ID of the user. For a root user, the ID should be 0. I don't know why I moved the cursor. Okay. And the group should be 0. And then type root as a directory. Then dash. Save that. And now all you have to do is to go to the new user. So root 2 0 3 2 1. As you can see now, we are the root user. ID root. Okay, so let's see here. Having read the info above, what direction privilege escalation is this attack? So basically, we moved from user 3 to user 7, and from user 7 to root. This is called horizontal privilege escalation. Oh, it is vertical, I guess. Vertical. Yes. Before we add our new user, first create a compliant password hash to add. We do that by using, okay, what is the hash created by using this command? With default to new and password literally. So we have, I know our value is correct, but we have, in order to answer the question, we have to use TryHackMe value. So let's create a new one, just for the sake of answering the question. So let me take a screenshot of that first. Okay. And now to user 7. Okay. So open cell, or let's see if the command is saved. No. Okay. Open cell passwd -l -salt new. I think this one is wrong. All right, so let's take this hash and answer with it. Okay, now we need to take this value and create a new root user account. What would be the etc password entry look like for a root user with the username new and the password hash we created? So following the guideline we have demonstrated above here, as you can see, it will start with let's get etc password. So here is our user. So it starts with the username and the password hash 00 and the directory. So here, just type new. Oh no, we have to take this value first. Oh, no need from here. So new 00. Okay, so that's it for today, or for this video, for this part. So we demonstrated the abuse of SUID files and the abuse or manipulation of misconfigured sensitive files. So in the next video, we're going to demonstrate the cron tab, path variable, and a VI editor. Okay.